Hello, Dark Reader, and welcome to the Dark Side of the Library podcast. I'm your host, Katie. Today, we are going to be talking about a book called Vamps, Fresh Blood. It's a novel by Nicole Arend, and it came out January 3rd of 2023. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I did not finish it. I will be talking about my personal thoughts about this book after I talk about Nicole and the publisher summary of the story. The reason why I did not finish it is because I did not go into this book with the right mindset. That is truly what happened, and I should have listened to my gut, but I I thought this book was supposed to be for adults, and I knew when I read the summary that, it kind of sounds like YA, but I was trying to give it a chance, and I should have double checked to see if it actually was a YA book, and I didn't do that. But on Amazon, it says it is adult fiction, and it also said that on Barnes & Noble, so I'm a little confused, and it could be what I am seeing more of lately is, quote, new adult books. So basically from the ages of like 18 to 22 is the age range that I'm seeing. And again, I could actually see that as well. So let me talk about Nicole Arend and the summary of the book, and then I'll continue my whole entire spiel about why I didn't finish the book. But also, I will give you more of a positive light on all of this, even if I didn't finish the book. All right, so Nicole Arend. The Vamps series is her debut novel, at least in the YA fantasy world. She did write a book that accompanied one of her documentary series that she was traveling with a whole group of people. It was a C4 documentary series called Lost. So she did write a book to pair with that. And she liked writing so much that she decided to take a YA writing course. And then she realized she loved vampire fiction, and then the rest is history. She wrote Vamps, and now it's going to be a continuous series of this whole entire world. Currently, she lives in the UK. So let me tell you what the summary is of Vamps, and then we will continue on with my thoughts here. All right, so quote, nestled in the Swiss Alps, Vamps, VAMPS, is the ultimate academy for the children of the most wealthy and powerful vampire families. Unfortunately for Dylan, he's an outsider. To be more specific, he's a Dhampir, a vampire that is half human. If he wants to survive more than a single term, he's going to need to embrace his fangs. But blood never lies, and soon it becomes clear there's something special and deadly in Dylan's veins. But as his power grows, so does the target on his back. So it's basically a paranormal series that's going to transport you to an elite vampire academy. Hooray! So it does say that it is perfect for fans who liked True Blood and the Atlas 6. So based on all of that stuff, and now we're getting on to my thoughts, all of that, I was like, I liked True Blood and I liked the Atlas 6. So I must really like this novel then. To reiterate, I did not finish the novel. I did not finish the novel because I hated it so much. I just couldn't do it any longer. So this book, I don't know. When you put it between Atlas 6 and True Blood, yeah, there might be sexy vampire action and blah, 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 but there's a plot there and a deep, serious, plot. Pretty big. There wasn't in this case. So here are the things that I just couldn't get past and some reasons why I didn't finish the novel. One, I treated this book like an adult fiction. Even though I knew in my gut this felt like a YA novel, it just was presented in a different way for me. And I also it's not posted on the Amazon page. My bad. Next up, when we begin this novel, it almost felt like Tropic Thunder. And I'm not even lying here. The Ben Stiller movie. So Dylan starts by walking through the Swiss Alps with some snowshoes. And then all of the other vampires showcase their grandeur by showing up in helicopters, sports cars, whatever crazy crap you can think of. And I have to be honest, the intro to that was hilarious to me. So we're introduced to a whole cast of vampire characters who are clearly very, very rich, all going to this elite school. They're international students, and here's the only time, in my opinion, that you see the differences between the characters. Each character has distinguishable traits based on their ethnicity, and that's the only time you really get a description of all of these characters. Unfortunately, as the story progresses, they tend to start muddling together. It is very hard to figure out who is who. I don't actually remember most of the time. And some of the characters sometimes go missing, or they're just gone from the storyline altogether. And then on top of it, with this introduction of characters, we are quickly introduced to the whole culture of like lusting after each other. That's like a very core thing with the vampires, and they make it very, very apparent that they're all pansexual and they all do things with each other, but also it's oddly misogynistic at the same time. It's weird. So there are a few issues here. The writing itself, there are a few times that I would reread a few paragraphs over and over again, thinking maybe I missed something or why isn't this making sense? But no, it actually didn't make any sense. So there are a lot of issues with the story, and I honestly couldn't finish it. It was just not enjoyable for me. So let me tell you about my positive spin on this, because I think there is a positive to everything. Even though I didn't like it, I know that other people are going to enjoy it and have already enjoyed this novel. What I didn't do and what I should have done is go into this book with no expectations. This is supposed to be a fun, almost like Vampire Diaries, really dramatic teen angst story where it's a little silly. It's lighthearted. It's not heavy reading. We're not getting into the woes of being a vampire. It's not Anne Rice, obviously. I've also heard that some people are like, ooh, it's an academy, so it's kind of like Harry Potter. I also wouldn't put expectations like that on this book, because with Harry Potter, there's a huge world out there, the whole wizarding world, and it slowly gets integrated into the story as Harry ages and goes to Hogwarts, etc. This book does not have a lot, in my opinion, on vampire culture, and if it does, it's clunky. So don't think of this as a slow build to the whole world, because maybe it might have been. At least that's how it was originally presented, especially with the rich elite vampire families. But it's mostly about Dylan. So this is one thing that I did think was actually well done in the story. Dylan is a really interesting protagonist. So he's very well thought out, in my opinion. I think because he is going through so much, it can resonate with a lot of older teenagers. Dylan is kind of thrown into this situation because his father wants him to go to this school. And Dylan doesn't really know why, and his dad isn't revealing to him all of these little secrets, and he just feels like he's just been dumped into the pool and now he has to swim. I think a lot of teenagers can feel for Dylan. There's only so much we can say about being an adult, right? And a lot of it is just being thrown into the ocean and like, okay, make sure you don't drown. So I think Dylan was a really relatable character in that way. And he does kind of come into his own. He's trying to discover who he is. And he is quite the outsider. And I think a lot of teenagers do feel that way oftentimes, even if they're in a group of people that they're supposed to be close with, like friends or something like that. There are often times where you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. Dylan's a great protagonist. Not only that, I kind of like the idea that it's a male, half vampire, half human. I do notice that a lot of YA books will focus on either a all-female human or an all-female vampire. We get a bit of a perspective with the male vampire human thing, which is I actually enjoyed that. This book is definitely for an older audience. If anything, maybe the confusion with some people, because it might not be quite teen, but it's definitely not adult, is I'm seeing more of this thing called, quote, new adult fiction. And I totally agree. This book fits that category. There's a lot of sexual themes in this book. The sexual tension throughout this book is incredibly strong, and it's probably not the best for younger teenage readers, or at least just be aware that it is incredibly sexually charged. It's a huge part of this book. So it's not a very serious book. It's definitely, like some people have put it, it's a book for horny vampire teenagers. And that's true. I think that's exactly how you would define this book. And there's no shame in that. There is definitely an audience for this book, for sure. It just wasn't necessarily for me. Other things I've read is that there are kind of some big twists towards the end. I got about 75% through the book and I couldn't do it anymore. So I never got the opportunity to see the twist. But consistently, I've seen that it is actually a decent twist, regardless of the seriousness or the depth of this book. It's a fun twist. So if you are interested in some teen drama, angst, academy, vampire, sexy novel, I would not put this in the category of True Blood or Atlas 6. This is way fluffier, way lighter. The writing is a little subpar and sometimes a little ridiculous, but if you're looking for something that's just a good afternoon read, check out Vamps, Fresh Blood by Nicole Arend. Make sure to come chat with us about this book over on our website at darksideofthelibrary.com. You can leave a comment or rate and review on your favorite listening app. That also helps us out and helps other people find our podcast. We really appreciate it. Stay tuned every Wednesday for our monthly rundown of new books coming out. And make sure to stay tuned every Friday for a Minisode where I do little deep dives. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. Join us on Instagram, Facebook, and our Amazon Live channel. You can find us also on Fridays doing horror trivia. We'd love to see you and chat with you, and we will hopefully do that pretty soon. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll talk to you next week.